Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and a merry late Christmas and a happy early new year to you guys. If you guys have watched the channel before, you might notice I'm in a different setup. It's because I'm spending some Christmas time with the family, you know, so fun times being had. But also with that being said, with it being Christmas and spending time with the family, I haven't been as locked into the NBA season as I would like to be for the past week or two. But with that being said, I kind of wanted to have like a different little fun video today because NBA history was set with the Detroit Pistons losing their 27th game in a row. Yep. Let's have a round of applause for the Pistons setting NBA history, something that's never been done before and might never be done again. But what I really wanted to do with that is that let's just have a little fun and try to predict when the Pistons will win their next game. So right here I've written down the Pistons' next 10 games, and we're gonna try to pinpoint when they get their win, if they ever do. So starting with today, December 28th, we have a game against the Celtics. I think we can pencil that in as a loss. I'm not saying it's impossible, but if the Celtics lose against the Pistons, that would be crazy. You know, I might have to name my firstborn son Cade if that happens. But, and then December 30th against the Raptors. So this one is actually kind of where I could see the Raptors dropping a game like this to the Pistons. It feels like a Raptors thing to do. But this is where you want to bet on do the Pistons win another game in 2023, or do they lose all the way throughout the rest of the year? And I'm betting on them not winning another game in 2023. So I have the Raptors beating the Pistons in that game. And now let's do a little bit of rundown on these ones coming up in January. So January 1st, we have the Rockets. 3rd, we have the Jazz. 5th, we have the Warriors. 7th, we have the Nuggets. The 9th, we have the Kings. On the 10th, we have the Spurs. 12th, Rockets. And then 15th, Wizards. Now, a couple of those games at the end probably stood out to you. The Spurs and the Wizards on the 10th and the 15th. And those are probably the Pistons' best bet to win, right? But then, do we really think they're going to extend this losing streak to 34 or 36? Or is that just like too crazy? So what I'm really looking at is January 3rd against the Jazz. And I know what you're thinking. The Pistons just got not killed. They just lost to the Jazz without their best players. Larry Markkinen wasn't playing. Keontae George wasn't playing. Like, they were missing their best guys, or, you know, a lot of their top guys. And they still lost to the Jazz. Now, yes, but now they have a little more experience playing the Jazz. Hopefully Monty Williams can make some adjustments, and maybe they'll have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, wanting to prove that, like, hey, we can beat this team kind of thing. But I will say, I like how the Jazz have been playing lately. I know they got off to a really rough start, but I like how Colin Sexton's been playing in particular lately, and just the team as a whole. So I'm going to... It's hard for me to do this, but I'm going to have the Jazz win. And as crazy as it might seem, I'm going to have the Pistons losing 34 games in a row until they play the Spurs on January 10th. And that is where I think they will get their win. After 34 consecutive losses, I think the Pistons will beat the Spurs on January 10th. Pencil that in. I do have one caveat. On January 5th, if Stephen Curry is not playing for the Warriors, I think the Pistons will upset the Warriors and beat them. If Stephen Curry is not playing. If Stephen Curry is playing, no chance. I have too much faith in Stephen Curry to lose to the Pistons. He will not allow that. I guarantee it. That'd be crazy if it does happen, though. That'd be actually really funny. I'm not like a huge Steph Curry fan or anything. That would actually be pretty funny. But yeah, so if Steph Curry's not playing on January 5th, then I think that's when the Pistons will win. But hopefully, Stephen Curry will be playing. And then I have the Pistons getting their win on January 10th against the Spurs. And if they don't do it then hopefully January 15th against the Wizards. And if they don't get a win by January 15th against the Wizards, then the Pistons will probably just never win again. But yeah, so Pencil it in, guys. January 10th against the Spurs. But yeah, like I said, I haven't been as locked in to the NBA as I would like to be over these past week or so. So I just want to talk about a few things that have stuck out to me throughout my watching. And obviously, if you've watched the channel before, maybe it's not obvious if you haven't, but I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan. So even when I'm not super locked in, I am watching Mavericks games, you know, so I know what's going on with them. But one thing that really stuck out to me recently, and it's not like anything crazy, it's just fun, you know. Andre Drummond had I don't want to say vintage, but yeah, it was pretty much a vintage Andre Drummond game. 24 points, 25 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks, in a win over the Hawks. And that's just a lot of fun. You know, obviously Vooch was out. That's why Drummond got so many minutes. But I think that's just something that's a lot of fun to see. I love seeing guys like that have throwback games like that. And Andre Drummond is the kind of guy where whenever you're watching him, you're like, this guy might get 15 rebounds today. You know, you never know. This guy might get 15 and 15 today. And seeing him go for 24 and 25, that was a lot of fun. The Bulls are continuing their good play without Zach LaVine. Even though Kobe White missed 7 threes in that game, didn't hit a single three, you know, aside from his poor shooting, I didn't hate what he was doing out there, you know. Sometimes shots just don't go in, but I feel like he was playing good basketball regardless of that. Same thing with Alex Caruso. He's not really a shot maker. He's not a guy they rely on for that. Sometimes, you know, he'll have games where he does it. But, you know, he went 2 for 10, but, you know, he was doing his thing, affecting the game on defense. And, you know, DeMar DeRozan did DeMar DeRozan things. But the Hawks, this puts the Hawks, where are the Hawks in the standings? Let's look at the standings. I haven't, like, just looked at the standings in a while, actually, or a few days, maybe a week. The Hawks are now 12th in the East. They are 12 and 18. And, you know, coming into the season, I wasn't the biggest believer in the Hawks, but I don't think I had them being this bad. You know, I would have guessed they were around 10th or 9th in the East in the play-in tournament. And I think some people had them higher, and I couldn't blame them for that. You know, there's a lot of things that, you know, given the right circumstance, could go better for them. But yeah, it's just a disappointing year for the Hawks. I know they had some injuries like Jalen Johnson, their second-year guy who shown a lot of promise. He missed a lot of time. He's back now and looking pretty good. He had a solid game against the Bulls. But yeah, it's just not looking great for the Hawks. I almost said Jazz. But you know, you just have to wonder what they're doing. You know, are they ever going to trade Clint Capella? Is that ever going to happen? What's the future of DeJounte Murray on the team? It's just, I don't know. I don't have faith in the Jazz being a team that's around long term. But also it's like, how do they really move off Trae Young? Because as good as Trae Young is, I think it's hard to find a team that would want a guy like Trae Young. Maybe the Spurs, so they could actually have a real point guard who could find Vic. That would be funny, though. Hawks trade for DeJounte Murray, and then somehow Trae Young ends up on the Spurs. That would be interesting. But yeah, I gotta have my obligatory section about the Mavericks real quick. So they've dropped to 6th in the West. They're 18 and 13. You know, I'm not too mad about it, but they did just drop a game to the Cavaliers. And, you know, it's tough. They got just destroyed on the glass, you know, out-rebounded. Part of me wonders if maybe playing Rashawn Holmes would have been a little better, but I will admit, I didn't watch this full game. I usually watch Dallas games in their entirety, but I didn't watch this one in its entirety. So I don't really have a feel for how this game went. But, you know, the Mavericks just have games like these, and, you know, they have stretches like this. So right now, they're not even a top 5 offense in the league anymore. Yeah, so the Mavericks are sitting around 8th in offensive net rating, and their defensive net rating is not good. They are the 8th worst defensive net rating team. So it's funny how that works out. So, you know, having a team like that, they're going to have, you know, they're obviously going to have stretches, because the Mavericks are the kind of team where they can compete, they can beat any team out there. but they could also kind of lose to any team out there, you know. If Luka doesn't have the best game ever and no one else is hitting shots of that game, it's kind of like, oh, what are we doing? Because Kyrie's hurt. Kyrie's not giving us buckets right now because Dwight Powell murdered him. I don't know if you saw it. Maybe I'll find the clip. Maybe not because I'm lazy. But Dwight Powell just like absolutely fell on Kyrie Irving, and he's been out ever since. So that's not fun. But yeah, there's some things to gather from the recent Mavericks games. You know, Jaden Hardy, he's been looking rough. I made a video about some of the Mavericks role players like a week, maybe 2 weeks ago at this point. But it was coming off the tail of Jaden Harvey having a really good game. Did I just say Harvey? Jaden Hardy having a really good game. You know, hitting a lot of shots that game. But ever since then, he just has not looked good, you know. He's missing a lot of shots. He looks like he's getting down on himself after he misses shots. And it's just not fun to watch. You know, there's a few two-way contract guys that have been interesting at least. AJ Lawson is a guy that I really like. If you're not familiar with AJ Lawson, I suggest looking into him, looking at some of his recent box scores. He gets steals. He's really fast out there. I think he's a guy that'll stick around in the NBA for, you know, a few years now, a few years to come. Just because, you know, he'll hustle, play solid defense, can hit a three, and he's really fast. Dante Exum has continued to play well. That's kind of a revelation that has been great. You know, since Kyrie went out, you know, we needed someone to step up, and Dante Exum's been doing that. And, you know, it was kind of this thing where I'm like, can Dante Exum keep this up? And he kind of has, you know. He's not going for 20 every game, but he's having good games every game. He's going for like over 10, you know, a few assists, few rebounds. You know, he's just doing good things out there, playing winning basketball. But Grant Williams, I think most people, you know, follow basketball, we're kind of in tune to this. At the beginning of the season, Grant Williams looked like an amazing pickup for the Mavericks. Ever since he's come back from his little injury that he had, I don't remember what it was, but he's just looked so bad. He's just missing threes. Like, he's having nights where he goes like 0 for 4, 1 for 5. He just does not look good out there. I think he had a decent game like a couple days ago, but like other than that, like all these games have been just not good. And I'm not saying that he's not a good player. I think he'll get back on track at some point, but it's just kind of a tough watch sometime, especially with how good he was at the beginning of the year. Derrick Jones Jr. is a player I still like. He's gotten a little more inconsistent, but he's still a player I like. You know, he has his games where he hits threes, and then he has his games where he doesn't hit threes. But even when he's not doing that, you know, I feel like he's making an impact. He's grabbing the occasional rebound. He plays solid defense, and, you know, he's just a guy I like. You know, before I go too far into my Dallas Mavericks brain mode and start complaining about Tim Hardaway, even though I like Tim Hardaway, you know, he frustrates me sometimes. Let's just take a look at the standings a little bit more, see what there is to see. The Magic are still sitting nicely in the 5th seed in the East, you know, and I think like a lot of people, I expected the Magic to take a jump, but not this much. You know, I expected them to be around the 10, 11 seed. So it's really impressive to see how the Magic have played, and largely because of their defense. You know, I didn't necessarily think they were a bad defensive team, but, you know, I didn't think they would be this good at defense. And Jalen Suggs a lot of people were out on Jalen Suggs. I wasn't ready to call him a bust. I know a lot of people were. But I also didn't really see him reviving his career the way he has this season. He's been really good for the Magic. And their coach, whose name I can't remember, used to work for the Mavericks. So that stings a little bit for me. But yeah, moving on. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are still the #1 team in the West. And that reminds me, I wanted to say something about the Timberwolves. I'm going to be making a video about the Timberwolves soon, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be about how they're kind of like the perfect example of how recency bias is kind of a big, I don't want to say problem, but it's like a little too prevalent when looking at evaluating NBA stuff. So it's going to be about that. Just stay tuned for that if that's something that interests you, you know? But yeah, I think I've ranted and lost my train of thought for a long enough time now. So I think I'll let you guys go. I hope you guys are having a great new year. I hope you're having a lot of fun, whatever you're doing, whether, you're just hanging out by yourself or hanging out with family or friends, whatever. I hope it's going well. And I think we're around 170 subscribers now. So everyone who's new to the channel, thank you. Welcome. I really appreciate it. Everyone who's been around for a little bit longer, I appreciate you guys as well. It means a lot that you guys are sticking around and watching the videos. It really means a lot to me. But yeah, if you're new here, I'd love to have you. If you liked the video, maybe subscribe if you want to stick around and catch the next one. If you didn't, hey, no hard feelings. It's not for everyone. Especially this video. I kind of did not have a blueprint going into this one. Most of my other videos are more structured. This one was just kind of, shooting the, I don't want to curse, shooting the shit or whatever, It's kind of a little more free form. Because I just wanted to get on and talk some basketball. Because I haven't been doing that as much lately. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys later. Peace.